Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the Philosophy for Philistines channel. I want to share a few things with you today about the philosophy that makes socialism work. It's known as Janteloven. So this is what I wrote this morning. I'm an ignorant man, nevertheless I seek after wisdom, and I'm wise enough to despise Janteloven. It is a pathological, ideological phenomenon which drives not merely the envy upon which socialism is socially constructed, but also offers demonstrable proof of socialism's unworkability. Even people who reject Janteloven, yet who grew up with it, are affected by it. I have noticed they often ask rhetorical questions without ever coming to reasonable conclusions. Since I teach problem solving, I know that if the correct questions are asked in proper sequence, that ultimately root causes for problems will appear. Janteloven has made it impossible for those affected by it to ask the right questions in proper sequence. Moreover, it has made them unwilling to act upon the inevitable conclusions of a proper line of inquiry. Janteloven causes people to become impotent and unwilling to act assertively, and it drives me insane whenever I encounter it. I didn't grow up in a home or with friends, I suppose, who were particularly envious and driven by petty desires. It was expected from most of our parents that we would achieve and try to do the best that we could, and to put to use the talents that we had been given and to work hard while doing it. And if people excelled, then it was considered to be very bad form to be envious of them or petty about their achievements. So I write on, but wait, it's worse than what I've stated, since the Janteloveners and their victims have entered some bizarre pact where the victim plays along with their victimization. It is no small coincidence that Stockholm Syndrome was first recognized due to a hostage-taking incident in the capital of Sweden, where the captors entered into a weird symbiotic relationship with their captors. Because, of course, in all of Scandinavia, whether it's Denmark or Sweden or Norway or perhaps even Iceland, Janteloven is the prevailing social zeitgeist. They cooperated with their abuser purely out of fear for reprisals, in spite of the fact that the passive-aggressive nature of both abuser and victim are constantly on display. It puts flesh on the concept that the beatings will continue until morale improves, because no good idea will go unpunished. If you were to point this out to either party, they would either flatly deny it or grow furious, which pretty much sums up why both parties are playing a passive-aggressive, pathological, unending game where nothing ever gets resolved, und the beat goes on. So here are the 10 rules of Janteloven, which make socialism a foregone conclusion where these rules thrive. Number 1, you're not to think you're anything special. Number 2, you are not to think you're as good as we are. Number 3, you're not to think you are smarter than we are. Number 4, you're not to imagine yourself better than we are. Number 5, you're not to think you know more than we do. Number 6, you're not to think you're more important than we are. Number 7, you're not to think you're good at anything. Number 8, my favorite, you're not to laugh at us. This is how I can prove I'm Norwegian. I walk up to a Norwegian and I give them the Norwegian stare, like this. I can prove I'm Norwegian. And they'll say, how can you do that? Are you laughing at me? With that blank stare right through their eyes in dead silence. It's the creepy, Borg-like phenomenon. You're not to think anyone cares about you is number 9, and you're not to think you can teach us anything is number 10. The Yenters who transgress this unwritten law are regarded with suspicion and some hostility, as it goes against the town's communal desire to preserve harmony, social stability, and uniformity. This is why we see today this unending quest to make all things the same under the false banner of equity. Well, individuals aren't the same. And the biggest difference between people is on the individual level, not between the groups that they belong to. So I'm not going to play this little pathological game. And when I encounter it in friends and family, I'm going to call them out on it and watch them either flatly deny it or become angered by my assertions. Oh, I know I'm in for trouble. But hey, man is born to trouble and suffering. Facing it nobly, that's what life's about. Take up your cross, follow the Lord. There's no way out but through the suffering. The broad path isn't leading to heaven. It's the narrow and rocky road that will get us there eventually, hopefully for me sooner than for most, because I'm ready to check out of this worm hotel. See ya, perhaps next time, if I'm not dead by then.